Merton. I'm a Queen's Young Leader, and I'm also a co-founder and CEO of Nolan Hill, and I'm happy to be here.
Hello, I'm Linford Inverary. I'm a project officer at the West Indies Cricket Board. Not representing them today, but I just thought I'd mention that.
I'm Javier Jacobs. I am the local recruiter for the region from Monroe College.
Of male marginalization within Antigua and Barbuda. And this is a very, very, very relevant and topical issue. But what we're going to start with first is the definition of marginalization. And marginalization, excuse me, I'm going to read it directly from my book. Marginalization is the process of making a group or class of people feel less important or relegated to a secondary position. Now guys, based off of this definition, do you believe that males within Antigua and Barbuda, and young males in particular, are affected? Is this an accurate definition in your minds?
Yes, definitely, and passionately I have to say yes. Because when I look around, especially as being a past student of the University of the West Indies, where I had a front row seat to some of the marginalization issues that the males are facing. Yes, I was outnumbered in every single class by my female counterparts. It was disheartening for me. That's why I really, when Kurt mentioned the opportunity to come on the show and discuss this, is something that I grabbed onto the opportunity. So yes, to be sure.
Well, it's an issue where I see education. Because you in primary school, leading up to high school, you realize that you're going to always be outnumbered. I don't know if that is because there are more females being born, and that's a statistic you have to look up, right? But from ever since you were a toddler, you were always in a class with more females, and then the younger boys are harder to control, right? When you were in high school, I'm sure each and every one of you maybe gave a little trouble, but the girls were more quiet.
When I was in grammar school.
Yeah,
So.
Okay, let's limit it to primary school, because I went to St. Joseph's Academy, right? So primary school, you realize that, hey, the boys were more wild, they were more rowdy in class, and what I realized is that the teachers would more focus on the females because they were, well behaved, or they behaved well better than the young guys. So they got the attention, and that's one of the many reasons why young ladies are progressing so well in school, right? In profession it's different because men are more risk takers. So you may find, hey, a young man may drop out of school, but hey, he's going to go and learn a trade. And back in the day, being a carpenter or a mason, was not the respected profession, but they made a lot of money. And as an adult, I realized that because you may want to look nice and cute in a tie and a long sleeve shirt in a bank, being a teller or whatever the case is. But the truth of the matter is, in most times, the carpenter and masons making more money.
If we can add something short, what I liked is when you said girls got most of the attention, and if you go back to school, it reminds you that you wouldn't see a lot of guys going to the teachers complaining about the small things.
Right.
Because we then had that peer-to-peer, out with the parents, like, why you keep complaining about everything? That's a girls thing. Girls complain about a lot. So I think even just by society, some of the things we were controlled and we were taught that these are the way that men are supposed to act. And even as a young age, we just fall within that group.
Well, I believe that charity begins at home. So even before you could even understand it, you will realize, your parents will realize, if you have a sister, right, you will realize, hey, the baby girl is well nurtured and they're very fragile, so the parents move with caution towards that child. But the boy, leave him alone, man. I don't want him to grow up soft. Even with my son, I will tell my wife, hey, let him leave him, let him figure it out on his own. Whereas a girl, I probably would take the time out to to show us something or, be more protective. And the guys were more lenient and we were let to run wild. So even from there, you realize, hey, I don't know if biologically we just have something in us that we're more aggressive. And then it's just a way, again, like you said, society. They're the ones who take on a particular role for the men. Psychologically, when you have a policeman, you don't see a policewoman, you see a policeman. And we males were put out there to protect. So think about the policeman, the fireman. You don't see firewomen, you don't see firemen, policewomen like that. And we were just more dominant in certain areas. So it would probably put a question as, are males really marginalized?
If I could just make a point. We talk about male marginalization, but there's also an issue where I think that the male identity is in crisis. Just to piggyback off of some of the points that you guys were making earlier, when it comes to the masculinity and the femininity and so forth, certain characteristics we tend to associate with men, others with women. I believe that just in terms of educational achievement is no longer a standard of masculinity. So men, so men associate masculinity with being courageous, being promiscuous too, because I'm telling you, just as my experience, being promiscuous, being almost violent and this types of stuff, it's very reflective in the behaviors and the music that they listen to and that type of stuff. Right. So this type of behaviors is somewhat glorified, and we have to also touch on mass media. You mentioned the family being a social institution. There are also other social institutions that are responsible for socialization: the school, the church, and I think that we've kind of lost the connection with some of those institutions. So that too, we talk about marginalization too, but there's also the issue of the fact that the identity of the Caribbean male, and this is just my opinion, it is in crisis.
But you mentioned just a while ago that educational achievements are no longer glorified in the eyes of, I guess, the majority of men.
Sure.
But why is that? When we've always been taught from a young age that education is the key. We've seen all these successful men in society who have either been prime ministers, businessmen, and the like.
Yeah.
They have achieved some form of higher educational achievements. But yet still, when we think of the average male, especially in Antigua and Barbuda, I mean, you have someone like Regis right here who is a Queen's young leader. I said it correctly, right? Yes. And you should look at Regis as somebody you would want to emulate, the average man. Somebody like you, Linford, someone like you, Javi. You'd want, young men should want to be like you. But yet still we find that they're just satisfied being mediocre at best. How do we change that? That's something that I've always thought about. How can we shift the mindset of the majority of the males within Antigua and Barbuda so that they can strive for something better, punch above their weight, and just not be confined to a life of selling drugs or promoting parties or just being the Adon, I guess, if we wanted to say that.
I guess I can take a shot. In terms of encouraging and inspiring them, best way to do it is by example. And I think it's just for more men like us to continue to do what we're doing. We won't reach everyone, but we'll probably impact one or two lives. And doing it, having like a peer-to-peer relationship, because I would look up to him because he's so close in my age, rather than him being 40 and I'm saying, okay, when I get to 40, I'll be as successful at 40. But you can be successful now within your 20s, within your 30s. So it's having those people close in age, kind of bridging the generation gap that kind of spread far apart. And then you see when the generation gap spreads apart, the old traditional ways and the old male definitions versus the new age male definition just getting wider apart. So it's bridging that generation gap will also, I think, address this whole issue of male identity, male encouragement, and so forth.
definitely too. And like my friend over here, you mentioned some of the other professions. What I don't want to do is I don't want to undermine other professions, because we all know that at the end of the day it's all about financial security and that type of stuff, which can be achieved without the conventional education routes too. So that's not to knock the person that wants to be a carpenter, or to knock the person that wants to be an engineer, or wants to be a mason, or whatever the case may be, because we all know that we have to respect those disciplines as well.
Okay, well guys, we've come to the end of this segment, but we definitely have to continue the debate. So just in closing, if each of you will just say like 1 or 2 words to the general public.
Yeah, I think we just hit the nail right on the head. He articulated it well for me. So I just think that we need more role models closer to our age, so that we can, like you said, lead by example, be led by example.
I think that it would, well, to make that change, it would have to start from, we have to make a step now, because the generation that's coming up, we need, like you said, more role models. Not only that, but the parents, and we have to go back. I mean, even though we're leading to a new generation, we still have to hold on to some of the values that the older ones have set, like community raising a child. And we need everyone to be on board. So it's not even just about focusing on the students or children, but more also educating parents too. Because it's an uphill battle, believe it or not. It's not an easy task. It's not something we'll just figure out in a few months. This is talking about creating a brand new trend for children and children of the society to even adapt to. And I personally believe that we would have to start from a young age to let them know that, hey, it's okay to get good grades. Before, males, if we got good grades, we were looked at as a nerd. If we wore glasses, we were a nerd. And the guys who were good in athletics and, doing poorly in class, they were seen as the hit guy, So, like I said, it's all about just creating a new trend to let them be aware that, hey, it's okay to get good grades, it's okay to stay in school, it's okay to go on to a tertiary level education, and respect the other genders.
For sure. Yeah, we definitely under respect. As men, we have to learn to respect one another. Absolutely. And I think in terms of education, we have to be I think it's dynamic, but just be engaging, be interactive. Everyone can't be taught the same way. From small kids come up, we need to get out to where the men's are. So go into the barbershop. Maybe our next male session can be in a barbershop. We can try that.
That's true. That's a good suggestion. We have to get out there to them and show them that we're men just like them. Who we've been around drugs, we've been around women, we've been around crime, but we've just chose our path.
Right.
And they just have to choose their path. And at the end of the day, we all choose our own path and answer our own questions. That's my 2 cents. Very good. Some sound contributions. And with that, it's a wrap. So see you next time.